think I'd rather have people recognize designs that I do, not necessarily knowing who I was, maybe even if they do, to be inspired by what I've done in some way. My name is Danielle Kane, or Dani. I'm 20 years old and I'm a junior, I'm a sophomore in the VC program at Heron. VC is Visual Communications. I decided to choose Heron because it's close to home, so I didn't have to pay tuition, and it's a good program, excellent program. My focus is how people interact with things that are designed at either two-dimensionally or three-dimensional design. Examples would be influencing how we perceive anything, really. People read things, visual hierarchy, what our eye goes to first, and then where it should go next. I decided to make this my focus because it seemed really relevant in today's fast-paced economy, and their design in general, visual communications, is everywhere. We see it on billboards, on commercials, even chairs. I mean, those were designed and thought deeply into of how we were going to interact with them. The process of printmaking is basically you get a sheet of metal or copper, zinc, either one of those two. You can either etch into it physically or take things and slowly burn them away with acid. It's a bit different because you have to work backwards rather than forwards when you're planning it. You have to think what needs to be the lightest rather than what needs to be the darkest, as you would with regular drawing. In a lot of ways, visual communications and printmaking are kind of similar. You have to think about the overall layout of a page and design it before you actually put it into the printing process. My thought process, as soon as I start working on something, at first we're just, and there's nothing. And then once it starts rolling, it's a lot easier to have something more tangible that actually seems like it's working. If things not working, I'll just scrap it and maybe use some of the same elements. Sometimes I'll just turn off the computer and go back to square one and start working with the general thing of how it is supposed to work. I do have a conceptually driven piece that I'm working on currently. It's basically the concept of concepts. I couldn't narrow down a specific concept, so I decided to work with all of them. I've learned that concepts are very intertwined with each other once you get to a certain point of detail. Once you start branching out, the human mind will make connections between almost anything and everything. You can go from agriculture straight down to I don't know, let's take a few steps here and go to government. They're all super connected in more ways than one a lot of times. I think so far a broad concept that connects everything is just humanity and just being a human in general. Medium of art I prefer the most would have to be three-dimensional things or sculpture. Even though I'm a VC major, which is mostly two-dimensional, there's something about being able to interact with what you're doing tangibly and move it around and find what needs to be fixed or improved that's a lot more rewarding than a two-dimensional object.